Welcome to Creative Vitality Jam Sessions. Here, we have intimate conversations with extraordinary dance and theater artists about reimagining creativity and supporting and building community. Creative Vitality Jam Sessions and I walk in solidarity and as allies for equality, justice, and respect, because Black lives matter, and we will keep walking the walk in order for change to come. I'm Helen Pickett, and today we have two beautiful guests, formerly of the Atlanta Ballet, and now they have moved on to other companies. We have Kiara DeNae Felder and Alessa Rogers. Kiara now dances with Les Grands Ballet Canadiens de Montréal, and Alessa now dances with the Royal Swedish Ballet. I have known Kiara since 2014 and Alessa since 2012. Welcome, ladies.
Hi, Helen. Hi,
Hi.
Kiara. Hello.
Hi. So good to see you. So the first question for both of you. So Kiara, where are you in the world?
I am in Montreal, Quebec, Canada.
Okay. And Alessa, where are you?
I'm currently in Atlanta. Tomorrow I go back to Stockholm, but I was in Atlanta visiting family.
Tomorrow? Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Wow, we just got this in.
Yes.
Thank you. So one thing else I want to say before we start out is that with Kiara and Alessa, they were the Home Studies Part 2. We did a female duet together, and they, again, were respectively in Atlanta and Montreal, and we managed to do this duet together where the whole prospect was being together yet apart, and that has turned out really beautifully. I'm about to share that with the world, so that will be coming out soon, and that was our way to connect recently, and I really feel like these talk shows have been also about that, but so is Home Studies. It's been also to connect, because I'm not a director, so with Home Studies I get to, reach out to dancers that I've loved working with in the past, and that is also a part of Home Studies. It's all dancers that I have a history with, so I'm really happy to see you guys. So this interview is a triad for a few reasons. Most recently, we made Home Studies together. You happen to be very good friends. I know that from the inside scoop, right? Hearts all around. You both attended North Carolina School of the Arts, which I had forgotten. I might have known that back when I was resident.
We weren't there at the same time.
Yeah, I knew that, but you're both graduates. Yeah, or you both went. Kiara, you went to high school, correct?
Yes, I went for my senior year of high school, yes.
Oh, 1 year, and oh, that's right, I remember that. And Alessa, how long were you there?
I was sophomore year through graduation, so I was there 3 years.
Okay. And of course, you both danced in the Atlanta Ballet, and you both do advocacy work. So that's where I'm going to start today. I'll start with, I'll go back and forth between who starts, of course. Along these lines, you have both published articles that speak to various social issues. Can you explain some of the work that you have highlighted in your written work? And then the second part of that would be, can you speak to other advocacy work you have been a part of? And Kiara, I'll start with you.
Yeah, so I've kind of participated and contributed to articles a lot about race in ballet, which, I think just my embodied experience, the fact that I am a Black female ballet dancer, everything I do kind of already inherently has sort of, some weight carried to it, just kind of being in a world that is kind of not really set up to be the most equitable kind of environment. So I've written and kind of spoke with people about race and then also about queerness being a queer ballerina as well, because that's something that's also kind of like in the fringes of the ballet world. And then also, you know, as far as advocacy and activism, working with like Alessa and fellow dancers on projects like Project Love, which Alessa can probably explain a little more, but has given me the chance to work more with like just social justice work in the community that needs to be done. And yeah, like been able to like incorporate our art form into kind of community activism, which has been really cool.
Yeah, beautiful. Totally agree. I feel like I've done that since I came back to America after dancing with Forsyth over in Europe. So thank you so much. Alessa.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've always been very interested in the social justice movements and humanitarian causes. And when I was in Atlanta, I was volunteering for a domestic violence shelter for a few years. And through that work, I started thinking about art as activism and what we can do as artists to better our community, because, you know, artists generally, we don't have a lot of money, we don't have a lot of time, but I thought surely there's something that we can do with this amazing gift that we have, this amazing talent, not to mention the community of really cool people that we work with on a daily basis. So I conceived of this this show that we called Project Love, that brought together artists of various different fields in Atlanta for a one-night performance, and we would raise money for charity. So the first year, the money went to Partnership Against Domestic Violence. The following 2 years, Lost and Found, which is a homeless shelter in Atlanta for LGBTQ teenagers. And then Kiara ended up bringing Project Love to Montreal and continuing it there. So for me, I used what I could. I don't have a lot of money, I don't have a lot of time, but we have art and we have creativity. And I think that ballet really lends itself well to advocacy work, because what you need in both is creativity and bravery. And so I think that they really work hand in hand. And also I think that's what you need in a pandemic too. You need creativity and you need bravery. So I think it's really just, it's kind of how I grappled with this notion of being in a sort of inherently selfish career. How can I give back using that work? And I think that what we did, it was a really, really beautiful evening that ended up going on into the next year and the next year. And yeah, so that was really close to my heart when we were working on that over several years. And Kiara and I also, we went to Nairobi a couple summers ago to perform in a gala with other dancers to raise money for an arts school there called Anos Africa. And so that was also just a really amazing experience that we got to have as friends, as dancers, and to be able to give back through our art.
That's just remarkable. Bravery, creativity, and community, because that's really what we're working for too. Like you said it, we're in this beautiful community of, let's say, mostly like-minded people, right? But how do we widen that community through the creativity and the bravery, as you said? And I think that is both of you, such healing advocacy work you're doing, and such inclusive, you know, I mean, Project Love, that, you know, I mean, just the title sounds healing and inclusive. Beautiful.
Yeah, and also what's great about it is within this community, and, you know, Alessa kind of brought forth the idea for Project Love, for example, and I think I would have never I thought maybe I wasn't brave enough to do something like that, and then I saw Alessa do it, and then over time I became more empowered to try to do that here in Montreal and work with the dancers here in Montreal, and we created it, and hopefully that also inspired more people to like not be afraid to see what they can do, because it kind of just comes together. Like, it's not, you don't have to be have an MBA or an event planner or anything. Like, you can just kind of go for it and see. You might not exceed all expectations, but you'll come close, and that's, anything helps, I think. So
yeah, I totally agree about intention versus a degree. Intention is everything. Education is wonderful. People can educate themselves in a multitude of ways, however. A degree doesn't necessarily mean you've come out a thoughtful, let's say, insightful person, So, yeah, totally agree. The intention, I think, as an ally, and I think Alessa would call herself an ally as well, to definitely equity and equality in the ballet world. We are there as a community for each other. So, Kiara, you said you didn't know if you had the bravery. Well, you needed a platform. The bravery was there. I believe that in everybody. I believe bravery, creativity, love is in everyone, but it is also reliant upon example and education. So, it was there. You just, there was a close friend that you trusted that was saying, let's do this, right?
Yeah, totally. I think that sense of community and support gives people the green light to do something and not really have to worry about anything else other than taking the action that needs to be done. So I think it's definitely a circular thing, because I think one person's clears the way, and then another person, they do something, the next person's going to clear a path. And I think even within the past couple of months, I've gotten a lot of people come to me and say, oh, I felt inspired to say this or to talk to my family about this, and I didn't know if I could do it before. But unfortunately, a lot of what action needs to be taken, there are barriers and obstacles that people need support to kind of overcome. So I think it's great. It all the community is so important to have.
Yes. Alessa, you want to add anything, or?
No.
Okay. Next question. Okay. With home studies, even though we were in different countries, Canada and USA, I felt you had a sense of working together. I want you to explain that perhaps a bit further, how the working together aspect, even through great distance, might have felt, or how you cultivated that. And how did you share in this remote space? It's like multi-pronged questions, so we can go from there. I'll just give you the questions, but what couldn't you share? And how did meaning figure in? That's a lot of questions, so I can go back to the first one. How did you have a sense, like sensory aspect, that's what I mean, of working together? And how did you share this remote space? And Alessa, I'll start with you.
Okay, I think for me, first of all, creating a ballet on Zoom, it's crazy for the head. It's really challenging. And so I think I'm so grateful that I was working with two people that I have worked with so much in the past. I think if I was trying to do it with people that I didn't know as well, didn't have as good of a working relationship, it would have been much more challenging, because this was really a safe space that you could just be like time out. We don't have a director breathing down our neck, or a ballet master giving us dirty looks. It's just Helen, I have no idea what my right hand and my left hand are right now. So let's just take a second. And I felt really safe to do that in this project with both of you.
And what about the moments when I was talking do you see, or I see your torso?
No, I can't see anything. Helen's laying on the floor and her camera's facing the ceiling, and I'm what is she doing, Kiara? But we made it work. We made it work. But I really felt, I mean, I think because I've worked with Kiara so much and we're such good friends, it felt very similar actually to being in a studio with her. And I think that what all dancers right now is we're missing physically touching each other, and we're missing hugging each other and then just like leaning on each other, like actually physically leaning on each other and feeling each other's sweat and the heat off of each other's bodies. So that obviously wasn't in my sister's basement where I was filming this. But I could feel like I knew that Kiara was there with me. And so it was really nice. I mean, I think it's something we really needed at this point in the pandemic, where we haven't been dancing or moving and we haven't been creative with our friends. So I think that it was just really kind of like a necessary thing to get out of our bodies, was to work on this project. So I think that, and we worked, it was quite an intense, I think that we did what, 4 or 5 days?
5 days, very intense.
Really intense, several hours a day to create this. And so, yeah, we just went for it. It's like a full-time job.
It was a full-time job for 5 days. And I don't know, Kara, I'm sure you felt this too, but Alessa, the Zoom fatigue. So what I have felt as a choreographer, where I get tired, it's not really, you know, because I'm working in minimal space and we're not creating like, you know, a full stage, you know, epic thing, but my eyes, I would come away with such tension headache because I'm concentrating so much. Also, you know, I wouldn't be able to really talk for about an hour after, because working so hard to try to figure out how to describe without the tangibility, you know? So yeah, what could you share? And just the last thing, so meaning, I know you touched on this a bit, but how did meaning figure in? I mean, I guess you did touch on it. Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I mean, I think for any contemporary work, it's generally not narrative based. And for me, I need a narrative. And so just like in any time that I walk into a more abstract ballet, I created the story for myself. Maybe Kiara had a completely different storyline going on, and it doesn't really matter. I know that she didn't because we talked about it, but but you know, you could, like, I could have my own interpretation and Kiara could have one, you could have one. The audience, that's 800 people that all have brought their own interpretations to something. And so the meaning's what you make it, and I needed to do that for myself to make sense of the project. And
yeah, but didn't I thought that, because you know me, even with abstract things, I also generally work with, I need story, not narrative, but a story as well. I thought we touched on a little bit, maybe just that it was a relationship, you know, use the relationship between you. I think I might have said something like that, and that, you know, with that hug at the end at the wall. And yeah. So Kiara, do you want me to go over these questions again, or you got it?
I think I got it. The first one, working remotely.
Yeah. So yeah, did you have a sense of working together, like in the sensory aspect? How did you share the remote space? What couldn't you share? And meaning, if any?
Yeah, I think what's interesting, and I think maybe me and Alessa kind of had an advantage having, like, we've been friends for a while and like we're really close, but in the past like 3-ish, 4 years, we've actually been apart, but like held on to our like friendship. So we have like a really close connection, even like we've been kind of in that realm. Like we were doing spaghetti night over Zoom before COVID like existed.
Oh, so we were the originals.
So like that kind of helped that we just kind of are used to finding connection with technology and things like that. But also I think what's kind of interesting that we've we've both been in each other's spaces that we were kind of working in. I mean, I guess not the exact space, but like in Atlanta, we've been in the same place, and Alessa's been to this apartment before. So like, it didn't feel like, somehow for me, without the like actual tangibility, like it did still feel like a strong connection to kind of work with, I guess, and feed on. And, you know, I think for, as far as the narrative, I think that me and Alessa just went like, we just like took it away. Like we made a whole backstory with like characters and like everything. But like, I think it helped that we just kind of are in sync in that way and can be creative in those ways and bring that to the work that we were doing.
One of the things I loved is that, you know, of course we had to film separately, right? But one of the things I loved from both of you is that you were both, even if it was just at the beginning, with each other during the filming, even if it was, and I thought that was really, really sweet. You know, it shows how, you know, how tight the bond is. It's very sweet. Both of you are currently working abroad. Alessa, you're in Stockholm, Kiara in Montreal. We've established that. And you've both worked in, I would say, several companies, or let's say a few, as opposed to one. And I believe that's also a form of reimagining, because I think, you know, starting over in new companies is also a form of reimagining. So Kiara, PNB, so North Carolina, let's call that, it's a conservatory, right? So then PNB and Atlanta and Montreal, and Alessa, again, North Carolina School of the Arts, Atlanta, Strasbourg, no, Ballet du Nord, no, what was it?
Ballet du Nord in
right? Right, and now Sweden. So that in and of itself, I find a form of reimagining, and I want each of you to speak about that. So how must you, or how can you, right, maybe more friendly, reimagine yourself in each new place? Where do the similarities surface? How does community in this reimagining and this new place, writ large and small, figure in? Kiara.
Yeah, so I mean, definitely with each place, it's also different. You have to rethink and kind of unlearn whatever you were used to in the old place and learn however things are in the new place. And I think something I've noticed kind of being here, well, really in each place, like here I am on a work permit, so that limits me in many ways, even how I integrate myself into the community in Montreal, like just from a status standpoint. And that I have learned, like through that, I kind of gained a new perspective on even immigration issues in the US, where it really can be really frustrating to not have legal status, full freedom in whatever country that you're in. And so that's like, I think moving around and being around people and being in a situation that's not, that you are limited, really helps you understand just like how the world works and how borders work and lands and things like that, and kind of the importance of that as far as like humans go. But then also, I think what's also been nice is knowing that my situation doesn't always fit all the parameters or like the infrastructure for ballet or for school. It's not set up that you can do everything at once, and that you can go here and there and work here and study here. It's given me the chance to just feel like I have to forge my own existence in a way, and not rely too much on how things are set up to like support me. Like I think being in all these different places, I've just been able to reimagine how I'm gonna do everything that I want to do, or like how I'm gonna do my career if my situation is gonna make it less standard or less traditional.
So I have one more question along that though. I once had a friend who had recently left another company and came to Frankfurt Ballet. And she said to me one day, she's like, the great thing is I can be whoever I want to be right now. Like I could be a completely different person. So I guess, is there a freedom, Kiara, in also shifting places as far as the person you can create in the studio, or is there an artistic freedom in reimagining relocation?
Yeah. I think actually it's quite liberating because there's no what's the word? There's no model to go after. Like you literally have to just, everything you do is your own creation of how you're gonna do things. So, you know, I can't really reference anyone, like I can't Google American student, ballet dancer, queer, blah, blah, blah. Like I can't, like I can follow in footsteps of different avenues, but when I group it all together, I really have to kind of just like create my own thing. And I think that can be hard to do, or like kind of seems like you're going into the unknown, but at the same time, there's lots of freedom because it's like, there's nothing set up yet, so you get to set it up yourself. So it's nice.
Yeah.
You're so cool, Kiara.
So Alessa, just to bring the questions again to focus for you, how can you reimagine with each new place? Is there freedom in that reimagining? Where do similarities surface between the places that you've been? And how does community writ large and small figure in?
Yeah, for me, I had wanted to live in another country for as long as I can remember. I always thought that I would dance in Europe and wanted to dance in Europe. But then I ended up at this amazing place called Atlanta Ballet, where it was a really amazing time in an amazing company. And I ended up being there for 11 years. And I thought I would be there for 1 year. Yes. And so at some point in my career, I thought, okay, I wanted to dance in Europe, but it looks like that's not going to happen, because why would I leave a place that I love so much, and I'm getting good roles, and I have friends, and my partner lives here, and you know, all of these reasons that I could have had a very, very happy career only staying at Atlanta Ballet. And yet it still was in the back of my head that I wanted to go. And so when the time came for me to go, I think it was a very different experience leaving companies after 11 seasons, as opposed to if I had gone earlier in my career. I felt quite established in Atlanta, and to start over again, it was very scary. And like, I remember when I was in France, everything was different. All of a sudden, going from a big city, I was in a small town. Everybody spoke French. I didn't know, you know, like the social customs, and everything was just really overwhelming. And then I went to the ballet bar, and then everything made sense again, because the thing is, it's all the same. Ballet is the same everywhere you go. There are different styles, but you know, at the beginning of the day, you go to a ballet bar and you're going to do pliés followed by tendus, and that was really reassuring to me that I did have an anchor in any country I go to, and that's happened over and over again. Even when I just take, you know, an open class in another country, no matter what the language is, I understand what a ballet class is, and so that was a really grounding experience for me in those first few weeks in France. But definitely also Atlanta Ballet, I had been there for a very long time, but it wasn't, which is rare, but even more rare is that the entire company of Atlanta Ballet had been there for a long time. I would say the majority of dancers there were there for close to 10 years, which is very unusual in a ballet company. And so we really were a family, everybody knew everything about each other. And we had this shared history of all of the ballets that we had done before, all the tours we had done, all of my like falls on stage, all of my triumphs on stage. And so when I went to a new country, I realized like, I am the stories that I tell about myself, and I got to decide which stories to tell for a period of time, you know, until they got to know me and judge me for their own. But for a while, you know, you just get to decide what you're going to tell about people and what you're going to open up to a new community of people. And definitely also in Atlanta, I felt so comfortable with not only the dancers, the other people that worked at the ballet in marketing and in costumes, stagehands, and also the audience members. We had a pretty loyal fan base, and I knew a lot of them very well. And so I remember the first time I danced in Europe, in France, I was like, there's not a single person in the audience that I know and who knows me. And so I had to redecide why I was dancing, because before I was dancing because it's like, oh, my mom's in the audience, or even just, you know, I recognize that guy, he's always in the third row, like I know him in a way. And now all of a sudden I was dancing for nobody except for myself. And that was actually hard. I realized that I hadn't danced for myself before. And now in this new place, I didn't have anybody really in the audience. And I didn't even have my friends on stage with me. So it felt lonely trying to kind of like figure out my priorities for ballet and shift my priorities.
Also in Stockholm, it's another step that you've taken.
Yeah, and Stockholm Royal Swedish Ballet is a very different company than I ever imagined myself dancing in. It's big, as 70 dancers as opposed to 28 in Atlanta. And I was so grateful when I got to Stockholm and I realized that it looks like a big company, but it feels familiar. It feels like a family. It feels like Atlanta Ballet did feel. And so I love dancing in Stockholm, and there the dancers are, we're 70 dancers, but 22 countries represented. And so it's really it's just fun. Like right now, what I'm going for in my career is that it's fun.
Exactly. And also a great city, also Montreal, two great cities you guys live in.
Yeah.
That offer a lot of culture, great food, especially Montreal, I have to say. Yeah, but
I can say I can learn so much from being surrounded by all of these dancers from so many different places, because everybody's bringing their different schools and different styles and perspectives, and it's really a melting pot, and I can kind of pick and choose from these dancers. And so it's really a joy to be here at this stage in my career in this place.
Yeah, we are lucky, right, to do what we love to do through all the hardship and the negotiation. Something I always took comfort in, and still after retirement, was also the feel of a bar. It could be wood, it could be synthetic, but there was something about that shape and how the memory of how my hand fits onto that shape was something. Even now, I don't take, class anymore. My legs don't like to turn out anymore. But sometimes I'll just go and feel the bar, because that is such a strong physical connection. That simple physicality of home. Yeah. Okay. There is a sense of adventure, I guess, but I think we could go into it, in the wish to live and experience another culture. Did this figure into your choices to dance abroad? Alessa, you kind of alluded to that you always wanted to dance in a foreign country. Kiara, did this somehow figure in for you, the adventure of going somewhere else? And I know that, your journey's not over, Kiara, as far as perhaps dancing somewhere else. And in that sense of adventure embedded in living in another country and other cultures and traveling and touring, how did this adventure help you reimagine? Also in your art? I'll start with you, Kiara.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's actually kind of interesting. When I was a student at PNB, we, as part of the PD program, we all had to pick a company and do a project on kind of like career development. So we had to pick a company, find out the salary, the size of the dancers, the emails that you would have to write if you wanted to audition there, the repertoire, these kinds of things. And we compiled everyone's research to make a little booklet that people could use to like do their audition season, which I hope they still do, because it was actually a really useful tool for me in finding my first job. But you know, of course, most people were picking American companies, and I think I'm hardwired to just always want to do something different from everybody else. So I tried to find the company that nobody else was going to choose, that I also found really interesting, and that's where I chose Les Grands Ballets. And so even then, when I was like 19, I had wanted to try to come here. And so it was kind of like something that I always was intrigued by. And so again, I think Atlanta, at first I didn't know if I wanted to be there, I guess, for a very long time, and I ended up staying there for about 5 years before coming here, or before like the opportunity came for me to come here. But certainly there's always this sense of wanting to explore outside of the US, like what I could do and that sort of thing. And I think by doing that, and even by coming here and meeting more people who have gone to other companies around the world, it's definitely, you know, expanded and given me the chance, I guess, to again like reimagine what is available to me. You know, luckily with the US passport, there's a lot of freedom there. And I think when I was a student, and even while I was dancing in the US, to do an audition season, often I would just kind of look through the US and see what cities in the US I maybe want to live in, or what those companies offer. But there's so many companies around the world for dance, and there's so many different ways that you can even be a dancer. So I think following whatever it was that was like saying try to do something different has opened up a whole just a ton of new discovery and options that are, I mean, I can't pick and choose too much, but a lot of options that are available and opportunities.
Great. Alessa.
Yeah, it's true what Kiara said about, I think that a lot of Americans, we just look at American companies, and that's crazy because there's so many companies in the world and they have a lot better working conditions than they do in America. And so to think that for so many years, like I was just looking at American companies. But anyway, back to the question. Yeah, Kiara and I actually, what was it, 3 years ago, when we were leaving Atlanta Ballet, we were both auditioning in these different countries during the same week. And like, we knew that we were doing it. And I remember I went to France and I did my audition, I think the morning before she had her audition in Montreal, and I got the contract on the spot. And so I sent Kiara a message and I was like, all right, I got my contract, you better get yours now. And so that the next day she was like, okay, I got mine. And so that was really cool to be on this journey together, and knowing that this meant we were going to be separating very far, but it was just great to know that we both, because I mean, Kiara and I both, we talk a lot actually about dancers being more dynamic and multifaceted humans than the old school ballet mentality gives us credit for. And so I think that, you know, Kiara and I really kind of embrace that kind of rugged individualist and being like, you know, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna get me some adventures, you know, and I'm gonna put myself out there and be audacious and believe that I can be in these great cities, in these great companies, and we've done it. And I think that Kiara and I are both very curious, and we're hungry to learn and experience. I mean, that's why we ended up, I mean, Kiara and I have traveled so many different countries just on vacation together, but really to see the world and just eat as much of it as we can while we're here, because, you know, you're not guaranteed any more time. So why are we just sitting around twiddling our fingers? So I think, I mean, I'm just really lucky I have an adventure buddy like Kiara, and then somebody that like pushes me and inspires me to like go out and get the job that I always wanted, but that I was, you know, holding myself back from doing. I don't remember what the question was, and if I answered it.
You both answered it really well. I did, because we're good. We're good. You know, these are just jumping off points. But you know, how grateful, how beautiful that you have such a strong bond with another human being in this world that you can go on these adventures with. Because I mean, you're speaking to the choir with travel. It has created such a huge part of who I am because of the places I've traveled. And I, you know, that's one thing in this pandemic, the very fact that I must stay still. I don't know about you two, but I'm like this, like the need to travel right now is so insistent. And I know it's because I can't. And I'm kind of like you in that. I don't do well with the word can't. I seem to like, okay, so how do I work around this word? It's like an automatic challenge. So, and I feel like you guys are the same. You know, the challenge, it's why not? It's not why. Yeah.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I must say too that sometimes you throw your net out. Like I went to a company that wasn't the right fit for me after Atlanta Ballet, and that's okay too. Yes. I went there for a year, and what I learned mostly was I learned what I didn't want. And that was a huge thing to learn. And having gone to this company launched me to Stockholm, where I'm very happy and couldn't imagine being at a different company right now. But it required me to take the step that maybe, like in hindsight, didn't feel like the right place to be. But I learned a lot about myself and what I want and what I didn't want. And that's okay too.
Yeah.
It's not all going to be roses.
No. You have something to contribute, Kiara? In full agreement?
Yeah, I totally agree. But also, yeah, you know, in regard to finding out what like works for you, what doesn't work for you, I think that's something that is important to keep in mind, because I think in ballet, we often kind of bend towards what we're told, or like what we think we're supposed to be doing, and a lot of time what we need takes the backseat in terms of, on a personal level, like what do you need in a company, what do you need in friends, what do you need in the city that you live in, and that sort of thing. And I think it's been a great opportunity to also learn about like myself and what interests me, and traveling and kind of expanding in that way has helped me, because I don't know if you know, I'm a part-time student, so I am doing my undergrad degree online part-time while I'm dancing, but it's been like directly my experiences traveling and dancing and the issues that come across have all channeled into what I am interested in studying, and like kind of the global aspect of everything that I'm drawn to. And I think I would have never I might not have even started school if I didn't move around and kind of have these experiences that made me be like, I want to study this more. So,
well, I didn't know. What's your degree in?
Right now it's global health and a minor in sustainability. So, and global health kind of just looks at like a very holistic view of health for like developing countries, but also like in the US, looking at how social structures create like disparities amongst you know, different communities, and it just really like picks it apart which I love.
Wow.
And then sustainability, you know, we have to protect the planet.
Yeah. Did you know, a little side note, I think it's not called, I think Life in a Day. I think that's what it's, so Ridley Scott produced this film 10 years ago, and I think it's called Life in a Day or Day in a Life. I think it's Life in a Day. And people send in video submissions from all over the world. Have you seen it?
I think I remember when that was like first kind of coming out. Like, it's been a while since I've watched it, but I do remember like kind of that, like you had people's videos literally from every corner of the world. It was just so fascinating.
It was beautiful. And it wasn't just every corner of the world. It was from 12:01 on July 25th till midnight. So it went in the chronology of time. And yesterday was the day that they asked for submissions for their new 2020. And Clemens and I did videos all day. You know, some of them are just like, nobody's going to care. And it's not about that anyhow, but I did a few and I'm going to send them in because it really moved me. It really, that film felt like what the world could be. You saw so many smiling faces. Just the fact that they wanted to submit something and say, this is who I am, this is who my community is, this beautiful smiling children's faces, hardships. There are 4 questions. What do you fear? What do you love? What's in your pocket? And what would you wish for in the world, you know? So yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I think it's about global health and I think that's what brought me to that. But
yeah. I know. I'm gonna revisit that because it sounds really cool.
It's a beautiful film. It's beautiful. Unless if you haven't seen it, it's really, really a gorgeous thing. And it's on YouTube.
Okay, I'll check it out.
It's on YouTube. So if I don't have the title exactly right, Ridley Scott produced it. So you can put that word, his name in as well. All right. Okay, we're to the 3 standard questions that everybody gets asked. I would like, if you want to share a favorite or impactful memory from your creative life. Alessa, it looks like you would not like to start.
I will pass.
Kiara. Uh-oh. Now Kiara doesn't want to start either.
No, I'll go for it. Well, I think for me, actually, kind of, and I think it was 2015, the first Project Love that we did. Does that seem about right?
Yeah, I think so.
Actually, I honestly think that experience was the first time that I like kind of put energy into like all of the things in my head. Like, of course, I had been working to be a ballet dancer and I kind of was really focused on that, but it kind of opened up like the floodgates for every other part of me that is becoming who I am as a person, but also this like activist side of me that wants to better the world. And so I think that project, seeing that it could be done and with the support of friends and like with the collaboration of artists and things, I think that was a really memorable and impactful moment, because since then, like, I feel like I've never gone back to just only focusing on one thing. Like, I've been really inspired to keep learning. And I mean, that year I remember just like having so many fees at the library because I had so many books checked out, because I was like, I was a sponge and wanted to learn more about everything after that kind of fall of that year. It was really special for me.
I'm going to stay with you with the second question, then I'm going to go to Alessa. The second question, kind of along the same lines, I feel. Do you have a daily inspiration or a daily, something that you do daily that you can share for your creative life or for your personal life? Something that's like a mantra or something you rely on to make your life perhaps brighter, better?
Yeah, I think, I mean, even going back to that time, and actually, I think this was while we were creating Camino Real as well. Like, it was like around that like fall. Anyway, I was reading Audre Lorde's Sister Outsider, and this was also kind of one of the first times that I like read a prominent author that I felt such a strong connection with, and kind of was the first time I saw some like real representation of like how I identify, but also this like radical person who didn't have any rules to follow. I mean, in her, while she was alive, like there weren't many people like her. And so I think whenever I'm feeling like I need support or like visibility or something, I often imagine like that she's like, you know, by my side, and just kind of, I think her work has really encouraged me to remember that, I mean, something she says a lot is, or that she said was, your silence can't protect you. And I think that, I feel like Alessa might have told me about that quote before I read it in her book, but even still, like, it is something I always go back to. If there's something on my mind and I'm thinking I can't do it, I have to remember that I have to remember my voice and like, you know, keep that in mind, and not let like all these systems of oppression like kind of weigh me down. Like, I just have to remember that me not saying anything is really gonna be probably more detrimental for me and other people also.
Beautiful, beautiful, Kiara. Thank you. All right, Alessa, you're up now. You got to answer these two questions, or you don't have to. There's no have to here. But the first one is, you know, do you have an impactful or favorite memory, and then do you have a daily inspiration or insight?
Yeah, I feel like I've had so many moments of joy on stage. It's just really hard to pick one. I mean, but
okay.
I think you know, honestly, like, I'm thinking the last performance that I ever did with Atlanta Ballet was Your Camino Real, when I was Esmeralda. And in this ballet, it was, for those who don't know, it was a full-length world premiere creation that Helen did. This was the second
Second iteration, yeah.
The year that I left Atlanta Ballet. But in it, at the very end of the whole ballet, Esme, she's up on this platform that's clear but like lit up from the bottom, and she's looking down at all, like I was looking down at all of these amazing artists and friends that I've danced with for 11 years, and she speaks. Like, we actually had microphones like in our backs, very difficult to dance with, but and she's looking down and she's talking about the fading legends and the last cavaliers, and talking about how she just basically is like wishing them all like well and love. And I got to do that on my very last performance, was just stand up there and give a prayer to all of these dancers that I loved. And
that must have been emotional.
Yeah. I was not sure if I was going to get through that one, actually, like that, because I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm doing the last performance, because there were 2 casts, and I was like, this is my last show. And it was the last show for 13 dancers in that company. So I knew that I was like, I'm speaking for all of these dancers that are going to leave once the curtain comes down, dancers that had graced the stage of Atlanta Ballet for decades. I think if you put all of our years together with Christian and with Tara and Kiara and Rachel and like all the people that were leaving that same night as me, I was like, whoa, this is the end of an era, like truly, truly the end of an era. And I knew after that I was going to get on a plane, I was going to move to Europe. It was definitely an impactful moment. And there's a really beautiful, my spotlight woman. she took a picture of me like when she was up there. And so I have this picture like looking down at me, looking down at them. And I would just, yeah, I really love this.
See that.
And that was captured there.
Oh, that's beautiful. Wow.
I was on stage that day, and I think everyone, like, that was a really powerful moment to hear Alessa as well, just because, you know, I think also Alessa kind of, her character in this ballet also kind of was something that she embodied, I think, as a person. And in a way, you know, she's saying this prayer over us that resonated, because I think for a lot of people, and maybe it's just the fabric of dancers who were there, but I think, Alessa, that you like helped a lot of people like kind of form themselves and like, you know, find their way. So it really was there was a lot of like meaning and symbolism, but you know, it was a really beautiful, beautiful moment. And excellent delivery, no stuttering. She was really good.
Very much. I think my mom was in the audience, and I think she didn't even know that I was speaking it because she didn't think it sounded like my voice. She was like, it was like so low and kind of like a serious voice, and she just didn't see me like that. And I was like, no, that was me live. Don't mess up your words, Alessa.
You know, it's funny. When I redo this ballet again, I'll take out a lot of almost all the text, but I cannot give up that prayer.
It's really beautiful.
That prayer for me is exactly what you said. It's a prayer for everyone. It's a prayer for art. It's a prayer for memory. It's a prayer for friends. It's a prayer for loved ones. It's a prayer about loss. It's a prayer about hope. You know, it's such a benediction. It's and, you know, excuse me, but, you know, Kiara, I do have to say there is some thought behind casting. I mean, you think it wasn't, you know, I mean, there was some thought behind, you know, Alessa doing this role. So, yeah. So
I can't think of a better way to have left that stage that I had put so many years of my career into, and so many tears and so much joy on that stage, to leave doing Esme with that music at the end, just skipping across the stage, finally free after saying the prayer. It was great.
Yeah. Kiara, didn't you also learn that role?
Briefly in the beginning, yes.
Okay.
Like in the beginning of the creation process,
Okay.
I was like in some of those rehearsals too. But yeah, I mean, it like for sure Alessa was like the great fit, but also it just like on so many different facets, like just really like, you know, hit home for a lot of us.
Well, yeah, I always saw Alessa too as like a little angel in the company, you know. She talk about advocacy for her cohort. I really felt like you really stood by your cohort in Atlanta. I thought that was always quite beautiful. All right, daily inspiration, my love.
I think the daily inspiration is honestly like the walking into the dressing room every day is such a joy for me. And because it's in the dressing room, I mean, it's different. At Atlanta Ballet, all the girls were in the same dressing room. And in Sweden, it's just 6 girls in each dressing room. But I'm just so lucky that my girls are just like the best. We just have so much fun in the dressing room. So even if, you know, you wake up early, you're sore, it's raining outside and you have to ride your bike, but you walk in the dressing room and then there's just these like beautiful lights just full of joy. And yeah, to me it's just like that ritual that you have to do of coming into the opera house and going to your dressing room and seeing your friends and realizing like what a gift it is that you get to spend the next 8 hours of your day with these people being beautiful. Like, how cool is that? So yeah, I mean, that my coworkers are my biggest inspirations. And that includes coworkers of the past, like Kiara, to know that she's just like out there, like kicking butt in Canada, and just like for everybody, you know, the Terminus dancers that have created their whole company like from nothing, and just my friends are really cool, you know. They so I think for me it's just like the people that I work with, they're the inspiration, and yeah,
beautiful.
They're always there.
Yeah, and they can be through life. That's what I've also found with the colleagues. Kiara, you were also, I think, in your first year, I pulled you into the Exiled as well, right? Yeah.
I remember that, and like that also. I'm trying to think. I think that was the year before I got hired as a full-time dancer. I think I was still an apprentice then. But it also like kind of sparked that I don't know, like what's possible kind of like spirit, and to be in that studio. It was kind of one of the first times I was in like that kind of an intimate creation process, and it was really eye-opening, but also challenging, kind of scary, because I was with like all the hotshot big people, and I was still an apprentice. But also, it was really amazing.
You had to leave because you got put first cast into John's ballet. At a certain point, you had to leave the process, which was like a little miffed about, but I understood. You were first cast in another ballet. So yeah, I remember that at some point that happened.
Yeah, and that year, I think that year that after I found out that I was gonna stay in Atlanta, like I kind of felt like it was my initiation into whatever this world, this like magical unicorn place that great things happen. It was all just kind of opening up then, and I mean, really, and I think I was like 20 years old. I mean, it was like the formative years were happening, so it was like a huge moment of like, again, kind of like what you said, like now you get to be whoever you want, like this is your launching board, or yeah, all those things kind of took place then.
And I have to share something really sweet. It wasn't, I don't think I was meant to hear this, but you were in the studio, and I can't remember if you might have said it, but I think it was more to yourself. And you said, "It's all really happening." And I remember that you had said that with this huge, beautiful smile. You were so filled with excitement. And I just remember thinking, oh man, that's, you know, that place for a young dancer, how beautiful. You know, you were like shining with the words you said. It's all really happening. And I don't know if I ever told you that, but that was something I'd heard you say around that same time. And I thought, how beautiful that moment in a young dancer's life, you know? Beautiful. Okay. Sorry, did you want to something?
Oh, no, I was just saying it's really special because, you know, for so many people, like it doesn't happen, which is like, you know, unfortunate, but it's, you know, if it does, like, it's kind of a crazy realization, like it's happening, like we'll see where, like, you know, the world is opening in this avenue. So it's a really special place to reach.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So I'm going to start with you, Alessa. In supporting and building a more equitable community, it's our last question. What do you believe needs to be shifted and changed? I know it's a giant question, but you know, one thing that comes to you now.
Yeah, there's so much work to be done, but I think that one good place to start is to incubate diverse leadership. I think so much of a ballet company culture comes from the top down. I know because I muted myself. Many directors with different priorities, and I can really see the directors that care about the well-being of their dancers versus those who don't. It really does trickle down. And so I think that when you put into place leaders, and by leaders I mean directors, choreographers, leading dancers, and board members, that entire group of people, it needs to be diversified, because we're not going to get more diverse programming, and we're not going to tell more diverse stories, get more diverse audience members, if we're not going to diversify the top. And so for me, I think that's a good place to start.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, yeah. Kiara.
Yeah, I mean, like Alessa said, there's seriously so much work to do, really on like a systemic level globally. But for sure, I think in terms of like diversifying leadership, also those who are in leadership and have that sort of position of power, like I think there is a responsibility to really challenge how like the systems that have been created already, and you know, ask questions almost to a fundamental level. Why do we choose these stories? Why are these aesthetics valued? Why are, you know, why are things the way that they are? And like really look at it as though maybe intentionally or unintentionally you contribute directly to keeping things the way they are. So, I mean, not you specifically, but like at large, like for people in power, you do have the power to change it or continue to contribute to it. And a lot of that responsibility should be in your lap, for example, or like kind of going off of that, like the Black Lives Matter movement was founded by 3 women of color, 2 of which were queer women. And they are probably in a category that's the most disrespected, the least powerful, the most disadvantaged, but they created one of the biggest, like if not the biggest civil rights movement in history. So imagine if the people with the most power and the most influence organized and tried to shift the systems that are existing now. So I think, you know, of course, we're gonna all of us have that activist mind, and we're gonna put a lot of energy, but I do think it's like a call to action for people who are already at the top and who can really have like they can snap their fingers and they can have it changed. So,
Absolutely.
you know.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. You too. I haven't had the chance actually to talk to the 2 of you together, working together in this very intimate way, even though 5 days was really beautiful. But this talk, you 2 are so inspirational, so hopeful. I mean, in the fact that it's so great to see people, young women your age, that are doing this and out there, because you also are in position, even though you're younger people, you know, people are following you and listening to you and reading your things as well, reading your articles. So just so much respect and love for the 2 of you, really. I'm a better person for knowing both of you. So I say thank you for this amazing interview. And I want to go just one by one. If either of you have a tag or a website or some place where, besides the short, brief bio that we have in the description page when it goes to the YouTube channel, is there any other places that people can follow you? Kiara, do you have anything?
Yeah, I think my Instagram, I often try to share resources and link to things that I'm either working on or my thoughts and things. And that's Kiarode, which is spelled Kiarode. And then I also have a blog, which is kiarode.blog.
Okay.
And those are 2 places where I often just kind of like unpack what's on my mind and try to share and, you know, discover more things.
Great. And Alessa, do you have
For me, I'm not really, no. I don't really have like anything that I update regularly. I have a blog that I haven't updated in about a year, but it does have a collection of some of my writing. It's called expatballerina.com. And then it's where I try to put links of some of my published works. Maybe not updated, but but you can check
and
there.
on Medium.
Oh yeah,
What?
true. Thank you, Kiara, for knowing my my stuff. And I have a Medium page where I have some writing also.
Okay, and are you on Instagram?
Yes.
Okay, and what's that tag?
Is it Alessa Rogers? I think it's Alessa Rogers.
Okay, good. Okay. Yeah, well, I just came to it too. So kindred spirit there about not being, you know, now I'm like, oh, Instagram, this is amazing. But, you know, I was like, it took me a long time to get there. Okay, so great. If the two of you wouldn't mind just staying while I finish up the show, and we'll say our last goodbyes at the end. There are 2 new sessions every week, Tuesday and Sunday. And this episode will be uploaded later to our Creative Vitality Jam Sessions YouTube channel. I will post on Instagram coming soon, right after the show now, and then when it is uploaded. And as I said, there will be a description page underneath the interview where you can find short bios on each woman and some other information about Creative Vitality Jam Sessions. Our next session, you're going to meet Bethany Kingsley-Garner, principal with Scottish Ballet. And now I'm going to say my thank yous. Gracie Spina, the intern co-producer of CVJS, thank you so much. Thank you again forever and ever to the dance community that I'm a part of. I can't imagine being a part of any other community so deeply intrinsically tied to. I'm thankful for you every day. You give me strength and love and courage when I think I don't have it. I just look to women like you or my colleagues. So Kiara, Alessa, I wish you the very best. We'll stay in touch, and I'll let you know about what's happening with your video in email, because something exciting is coming. And keep reimagining creativity. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us, Helen.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.